We had I think, a very good meeting in St. Thomas last night, which we're repeating here today, and we hope that you will leave here as informed and maybe excited about some of the programs that you will hear about from our guests this evening. And our guest that will be coming to speak to you, we're really pleased that they could be here. Joe Mueller at the end, who's the Program Director, Business and Cooperative Services at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Rural Development. It's Angela Prylo, who is an Area Director in Florida, but also Director of Energy Programs for Rural Development. And of course, we all know Carl Christensen, the Senior Area Manager for SBA. We also have Kimmy Bryce over here, who is the Area Specialist. She is your main point of contact here, and she'll be sharing some information with us as well. Now, I'm in my 9th term, and going back to Washington for the 113th Congress, knowing the situation with our energy costs here, of course that had to be a priority for me. We started out by calling all of the relevant agencies, the White House and the Department of Interior together for a special meeting just on the energy crisis in the Virgin Islands. We had Department of Commerce, Department of Energy, Department of Army, Department of Interior, and of course the White House was there with us at this meeting. Several things have happened since then, and I'm not going to, maybe in the question and answer period we can talk about some of that. In addition to that, I had the opportunity at a meeting to spend some time, a little time talking with the Secretary of Agriculture. And I'm amazed every time I look at what the Department of Agriculture does. But they have a myriad of programs. It's a huge department, and one of their main areas is energy. They have the Rural Utilities Service, and then they have other programs related to energy and agriculture, small business, and you'll hear about some of them this evening. But I was telling the Secretary about the cost of electricity here, the highest in the nation. As I have told my committee, as I've told the President, as I've told the Vice President, and anyone who I can get close to. And the Secretary, I was talking to him about something that we eventually put into legislation, which is to take some money from a loan program and put it into a grant program that's called the High Energy Cost Grant Program, just for territories like ours, so that we could get some additional funding to take down the cost of our LEAC. That's still in process. We also have some other legislation, but he said to me, what about the REAP program? And so a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is the REAP program, but there will be other programs as well. So we're glad that you're here. We're going to have the presentations, but there'll be a lot of time for questions and answers, for discussion about the programs that you'll hear about. And I'm going to begin by asking Mr. Mueller to give some opening remarks and an overview. And this mic really is for the recording. It does not amplify, but we'll be using it so that the camera can pick up our voice. So if you can't hear us, let us know. Mr. Mueller.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How y'all doing? Good. It's a warm evening, but that's the way it is in Florida and the Caribbean. So we're here tonight to talk primarily about energy, but we have some other programs that we want to talk about. But we'll begin by focusing on energy programs. As the delegate said, she went to Washington and reminded the Secretary that there are problems down here, and y'all know them better than I do, better than a lot of people with energy. So the Secretary got in touch with my boss, our boss, who's in Gainesville, and asked him what was going on, and he said, well, there's some of the highest energy costs in the United States in the Virgin Islands. And our boss, Richard Maychek, he said, we need some help down there. We need more money than what's being allocated to the Virgin Islands for energy programs. And the secretary said, well, we don't have much money, as you know, but we understand what's going on, and we're going to do everything we can. So he said, can't make any promises, but we're going to do something. So if we get some applications, I think we got a good chance of getting a lot of them funded. So it's something that you can thank Delegate Christensen for doing for you. She's the one that went up there and rattled the cages and got everybody's attention. So I think that's a great thing for the territory. Angela Prylo is our energy coordinator for Florida and the Virgin Islands. And Angela's been doing this kind of work for several years. And she knows the energy program better than anybody, so that's who's going to be talking to you. Angela's, as I said, has been doing it quite a while, and she knows the ins and outs of the energy application process. She can talk to you individually about it. But right now she's going to talk to you all about what's going on in energy and our REAP, our Rural Energy for America program. Angela?
Thank you, Joe. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to stand on this side. It's a pleasure being here with you tonight. I want to express my thanks for your attendance. It's very pleasing to see the number of you that have come out tonight to find out a little bit of information about our programs and find out a little bit about not just rural development programs, but SBA programs and the ways that you can make a difference. I know that many of you are here in many different capacities, and some of this information, even if it's not available, is something that you may personally be interested in. It may be something that you want to share in the future to neighbors, friends, other business owners, other farmers, ranchers that you know about. So please share the information you have today that you obtained tonight, and feel free to just stop me once we're finished, and if you want to have a dialogue about anything, that's fine as well. Again, as Joe mentioned, the USDA Rural Development has a number of programs. Rural Development has over 40 programs that we provide funding for housing, as well as community facilities, business programs, and energy. The energy program that we have was derived out of the 2008 Farm Bill. And that Farm Bill has expired and is underway for a renewed Farm Bill. But in that Farm Bill, it has identified certain areas and energy programs that have been laid out for the different departments to use to provide funding for energy types of projects. The 9007 program was so successful in this last Farm Bill cycle that it is one of the programs that is going to continue and is in the draft versions of the Farm Bill right now to continue into this next year. So that's what you're going to primarily hear the most about with our energy programs. There have been some other ones that we've had in this last Farm Bill that may not materialize this next time, so we're not going to focus on those as much. But every time, or if there's ever a time that new things or new programs come out, we'll make sure to get the information out to you readily available to you. So then, yeah. Oh yes. So before we get started, it's important for us to know our audience so that I know, as well as the others here, how we can best serve and help you. So what I'm going to quickly do is we're going to start at the front of the table here. And if you can just tell us, this casual environment, you can just tell us your name, and who you are, who you represent, or if you are a business owner, or if you're a farmer or a rancher. That way, as I'm doing my presentation, I can kind of personalize it for your needs or know how to help you in the future, okay? So if you can, we're going to start here, and you can just tell us who you are and what type of business you have. If you have a business, if you're a farmer, rancher, concerned citizen, homeowner, you know, your purpose for coming tonight.
Good evening. My name is Juliet L. McFarland. I'm a homeowner, business owner, and a farmer. I'm a member of the beginner farmer class with the University of the Virgin Islands, and I've been a member of the class for over 1 year. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Romel Ubando. I am a farmer. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gail Widmer. I'm just here to learn about energy. I'm a homeowner, but I'd like to be a farmer. Trying. Not very good at it yet.
Sheila Kelly, and I'm a homeowner with way too high WAPA bills. I need help.
Good evening. My name is Rafael Llanos. I am a property owner and a good land steward, and I'm also a manager for the Water and Power Authority.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Troy Johannes. I'm a community relations officer for Senator Diane Capehart, and I'm here to get all of the vital information that I can get to share to the community so that we could bring revenue to the community. I'm a people's person, and I'm here as an entrepreneur, like one of my good friends here, and I'm just trying to get all the information I can.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Batiste. I'm co-owner of Carib Sun Energy, a locally owned solar power installation and design company. We also do energy audits as well as LED retrofits. And I'm here to help facilitate the process any way I can. Hopefully you guys will end up coming to me for a free estimate when you're ready.
Good evening. My name is William Griswold. I'm a business owner. I'm a homeowner. And it's going to be a new farming business starting here soon. So I'm just here to learn everything I can.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Nelson Rojas. I'm owner of Nelson Schooling LLC, and I'm also an inventor. So I'm here exactly about looking also for the strategies, learn too about energy efficiency, and also seeking funding to start manufacturing my invention.
My name is Frank Diabro. I own Schwama Service Center, and I am planning to turn Schwama into an energy saving system completely. I want to go solar. I already went all the way to change every bulb in the business, all the coolers, all the air conditioners, everything is changed. So I'm waiting to go into solar right now. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Helena Emanuel. I'm an assistant manager of small business at Scotiabank. And if any one of you needs financing for to fund those solar projects, you call me.
I'm Rosemary Gribben. I'm a business owner, and I'm here to just try to reduce my WAPA bill.
Hi, good evening. My name is Keisha Christian Butcher, and I am about to be a small business owner. So I am in the process of just getting information and working on solar panel.
Good evening. My name is Luz Bellado Webster, and I'm the office manager for Delegate Christensen's office.
Good evening. My name is Gilbert Laban. I'm a business advisor.
My name is Vernon Nicholas. I'm the owner of St. Croix Business Machines. We sell office equipment.
Okay, thank you. My name is Denise Singleton. I'm a homeowner, but I'm here representing AARP.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Merchant. I'm also a business owner and a homeowner, and I'm here to find out some information about energy saving.
Hi, good evening. My name is Carl Knight, the Director of the Virgin Islands Energy Office. And I guess I'm here because 8 to 5 just isn't enough for me to discuss energy, so I got to get some overtime in.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marvin Pickering. I'm the Principal Manager of MLP LLC, which is a tax and business consulting firm. I am here, just like most of you, to gather information on this process and the programs and to see how I can advise my clients, and me personally, because I'm also a homeowner and a property owner. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Rochford, and I'm here representing Bank of St. Croix. I'm a lender there in the lending department, and
My colleague and I are here mainly to just gather some information about the programs available.
Good evening. My name is Christiana Williams. I'm also with the Bank of St. Croix, and we have had numerous requests recently from our clients for assistance in financing their energy needs, and we are here to gather information about that. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ms. Garnett, and I'm a representative of the Office of the Senate President, Senator Sean Michael Malone, and I'm here to gather information so that when we get calls from the office, we can provide some sort of information that will be helpful to our constituents.
Hi, good evening. My name is Scott McChain. I'm a small business owner. I've got a law firm in Christiansted Town, and I'm basically looking to save some money on my WAPA bills. And they say if you can't beat them, join them. So we can't beat WAPA, so I'm going to join them and produce my own power.
Good evening. My name is Nadia, and I'm representing, I'm an office manager at ToothWorks, an endodontics office, and I'm just also trying to gather information to help the business.
Good evening. My name is Josette Cobb. I'm a concerned citizen just trying to gather as much information as I can. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Burton A. Edney. I'm the landlord for USDA, and I'm all about energy efficiency. So I'm interested in getting solar panels. We did all the other stuff, from the HVAC system, LEDs, solar lights in the parking lot, and we want to go all the way. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bevan Smith. I'm Director of Building Permits. I actually permit renewable energy systems, and I always get questions, so I like to be informed. This is my wife along with me.
Good evening. My name is Richard Nix. I'm the Chief Researcher for Senator Diane Capehart, and I'm here on basically in support of the project and to get as much information as possible so we can make alternative energy a reality. Thank you.
Behind me. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, man. They forced me, so you gotta do it too.
Ruben Lightwood, farmer.
This one.
My name is Severiano Jacobs. I'm here along with my wife. I'm somewhat of a local inventor, and I am here to see how your programs can assist me in turning my inventions, like the gentleman there, into a viable business that can somehow be called the Virgin Islands' own. Just to give you a little synopsis, it's a craft item, and Virgin Islands as a tourist destination, I have yet to see anywhere a craft item labeled made in St. Croix or made in the Virgin Islands. So I am here basically to see how any of your programs can assist me in developing my invention into a business that could also support the financial infrastructure of the Virgin Islands. Thank you.
Helene Jacobs, wife.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Christopher, and I'm here to gather some information, both as a homeowner, a very poor one at that, as well as to find out any information regarding energy conservation in farming.
Thank you, everyone. It's actually very good and interesting to do this because I love to know my audience. I know it's we are trying to provide you with a lot of information tonight. Some of the information is going to be relevant to some of you. Some of the information may not be relevant to some of you. You have a major issue and a major challenge here as it relates to energy and electric energy use, consumption, and cost. And as your representative mentioned, it's going to take a multitude of approaches to try to help mitigate some of these issues. So when you hear my presentation tonight, I want to encourage you, because sometimes it may not be something that fits you in particular, but may fit someone else. But as you hear about our other programs, and as you hear about SBA programs or other lending programs, you'll see how we may have to tweak or modify those programs, and they may fit your particular niche or your particular need. And if not, we can have some dialogue when it's over, and we can talk a little bit more about which agencies might be able to fit your needs. Okay? So we're here to because you can't solve a problem if you don't make any attempt. So we're here to provide the information for some of the programs that we have right now. But in addition to that, we want to let you know that if it's something that doesn't quite fit you, let's talk a little bit more and figure out how we may be able to navigate to something that may work better for you. All right. So the 9007 program stands for the REAP. We usually, it has the acronym. You know, the government has an acronym for everything. The stands for Rural Energy for America. It's a program designed, and it's only provided by the USDA, Rural Development, for farmers, ranchers, and business owners, small business owners. Now, for the most part, most of the government programs that are out there, particularly ours, we provide funding primarily to municipalities, nonprofits, and individual homeowners. For the most part, we don't really have a lot of programs for business, and in particular, we hardly ever have grant programs specifically for business. But this REAP program is designed to provide not only loan opportunities through loan guarantees, but it also provides grant opportunities to help you make a decision and making those improvements to your business. We're not in the business to come out and just give you a whole bunch of grant money for 100% of your project. I'm going to put that out there now. We just don't have the capabilities. We know the economic challenges our government's having, and we know the situation we're in. But the REAP program can be a program that can be very beneficial, because you can utilize the grant amounts that you can obtain to help reduce the cost of the project, now making the project affordable and making it something that may be technically and economically feasible that you might not have thought about doing before. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. What am I doing wrong? That's okay. I can press it. Okay. The purpose of the program is 2 phases of this REAP program. There's a renewable energy component and an energy efficiency component. Since you all are familiar with the energy plight, kind of giving you an education on something you probably already are familiar with. But renewable energy is when you create energy. You're producing energy from a certain source. That would be wind. That could be solar. In some parts of Florida, farmers use it a lot when creating anaerobic digesters, where they're producing energy. Energy efficiency projects are projects when you're improving a facility so that you can reduce your current energy cost by making some adjustments and improvements. So these are some examples, like I mentioned, of what renewable energy would be. Very popular here is wind and solar. We funded quite a few projects in the last 2 to 3 years in wind and solar for many of the businesses here some of the businesses here in St. Croix. Biomass is popular in some regions of the U.S., utilizing alternative sources instead of corn source, but using other sources to produce biofuel. Wind, as you know. Digesters, as I mentioned, this is when you take a byproduct of an animal or like a bakery. There's a bakery in Florida that they take the waste from the bakery, things that they can't use anymore, and they put it through that digester process. It creates energy, and they sell that. They use it and they sell it. So that's what the digester process is. And this one is a manure. This is at a cattle farm They use the manure to turn it to energy. Solar, which is popular here as well as in Florida. And then energy efficiency, like we mentioned, is when you are improving your existing building or facility to reduce your energy consumption and reduce your cost. So say, for instance, if you have a insurance company and you're in your facility, you haven't made a lot of upgrades in years, but you need to change. If you change out your lighting, if you change out the HVAC, little things like that. If you have a restaurant and you have refrigeration, or if you have a convenience store that's associated with a gas station and you use a lot of refrigeration, upgrading that. All of those things in the long run is going to reduce significantly your energy consumption. Those are energy efficiency projects. It's always when we're replacing something that already exists. So if you're interested in doing this and you're building a new facility and it doesn't exist already, then that won't be an energy efficiency project because you're not replacing anything. So remember, energy efficiency replaces something that already exists. If you're replacing your facility with a new facility and it's the same similar type of facility and you're the same business, then you can consider the program. So this one is for insulation. And these are just some things to get your mind going on what kind of projects you can do. Broiler houses are very popular in North Florida. We've converted a lot of those. Many farmers in Florida are using this program to convert their diesel irrigation systems to electric, and some are also using it to install solar in remote areas of their facilities and their farms. So, who's eligible? Well, first I mentioned farmers and ranchers, and as we went around the room, we found out that there's about a third of the people here that are farmers and ranchers. At least 51% of your income must come from that particular agricultural venture that you currently have. So at least 51% has to be from your agricultural business. And you must be directly engaged in the production of that particular agricultural product, whatever you're growing or selling. Now, in Florida, this is an important slide, but here it's not. You have to be determined rural. All of the Virgin Islands territories are determined rural. Now, in Florida, I have to cover this in particular because we have pockets of rural and pockets of major population, but this doesn't apply here as much. So you don't have to worry about looking up to see if you're eligible. What are eligible projects? Again, energy efficiency and renewable energy projects, pre-commercially or commercially available technology. Now that's important to say because I heard in our audience that we have some inventors, those people who are forward-thinking folks, which is very important because you can't get out of a challenge if you're not thinking forward of how you can solve your own problems. The challenge is this particular program may not be the best fit for you because for this program, we have to fund projects that what we call are off-the-shelf technology because we want this to take place immediately after your funding. There may be other programs that we can help find and identify with you and maybe contact the Department of Energy or some other sources, but this particular program is designed for off-the-shelf technology. Things you can just, as soon as we award it, you can go ahead and go purchase it and install it and keep it moving. So that's one important thing I wanted to mention there. It has to be technologically feasible. That means it has to make sense to do the project, and it has to make technological sense to do the project. I think that will be very difficult not to make the case here with your current energy crisis. Located in a rural area, that's no problem. If you are a business, you have to be a small business, and you must meet the small business definition that is developed by SBA. We don't reinvent the wheel. We just use what they have determined as small business. I wouldn't fret about that too much because 99% of the businesses in the territories will probably fit that mold. There is a way that you can determine, and we can determine if you're a small business by looking at your NAICS code, your NAICS code. You put it in the database, and it tells us what your gross income can be to be considered small. So say, for instance, if you're a gas station with a convenience store, I think it's $26 million is the limit. So if you make over $26 million a year, then you wouldn't be eligible. So in many instances, you know, you could qualify. You must own the system. So if you're going to purchase, a wood chipper, I know you don't have that here, but in Florida we have a lot of forest land that's very popular. They take the wood chipper, they chop up the wood, and they sell it for energy. But if you're going to purchase a wood chipper, useful life of that is 7 years. You got to own it. You can't purchase it for somebody else. So you got to own what you're purchasing, and you need to have site control for your location. So if you're going to purchase solar panels, and the lifespan of a solar panel is 20 years, 25 years, and you have absolutely no control of the site, and you could be put out tomorrow, then we're going to have an issue with it. But if you don't own the facility, you have a working relationship with the owner, you have a long-term lease agreement that shows us that you have site control, then we can help work through that issue. And you have to have adequate revenue and operating and maintenance and revenue, so that we know that if we're going to provide you the funding for the project, that you don't look like you're going to go out of business tomorrow before we can even make the award. Okay? So, again, like I mentioned, the program is not designed to give you 100% of the funding. It is designed to make the project a cost-effective project. So, in a project, we can provide up to 25% of that total project cost in the form of grant. For renewable energy projects, we can go up as high as $500,000. For energy efficiency projects, we can go up as high as $250,000. That means that 25% can't be more than those amounts. Now, I'm going to talk reality. This is what regulations allows us to do. The reality is the money that we get from Congress to run the program doesn't allow us to even come close to doing that for each project. If we could award that amount, I'm sure I would get hundreds of $500,000 applications every year. But that's not the reality. So I'm going to tell you the reality, because for me, the best thing is, if you're going to apply, I want to do everything in my possible capabilities to get you funded. So typically projects that do best are smaller projects. We have two types of application processes. We have a simplified application process for projects that are $200,000 or less, and then we have a full application process for those larger projects. Usually when the project is that large, sometimes there's a scoring mechanism, and we rank and score the projects before we fund them, and many times the larger ones can't score as well. Therefore, they have to compete on a nationwide basis. So we have an allocation of funds that we get for Florida, and we have an allocation of funds that we get for the Virgin Islands. So if you have a smaller project, it fits in a certain funding category, you are only competing with other entities and businesses from the VI. But if not, your project can be sent. And actually, it's almost a win-win, because if your project is not selected under that pool of funds and we just don't have enough, we can always submit the project to compete on a nationwide basis. And then you have to compete with all other projects nationwide. So we try to work with you with the smaller projects so we can increase the opportunity of funding, but if not, we'll do everything else we can to help you compete better on a national basis. The average grant, I can tell you, we can't just come off the cuff and say we will fund $50,000 per project, $20,000. It doesn't work that way. But I can tell you some averages over the last 5 years. The average grants have ranged anywhere from $3,000 to $60,000 on average. Now, there have been some that have gotten more, because when the program first came out, we got a whole lot more money to utilize back in 2008, 2009-ish. So there have been a few projects back then that might have received a little over $100,000. But right now, the average is spanning somewhere between, I would say, $3,000 and $60,000. And that's the 25% amount, not the total project cost. What's eligible? Anything you do after you submit the application, pretty much. post-application purchases and installation. So, do you have to wait on next year's notice to come out to apply? No. If you want to do your project and you want to get started on the project before Christmas, and you send me an application in November, but we don't get funding until March, you can still apply. You can still move forward with your project if you choose to, because you've already submitted your application. Now, there's a catch-22 to that, because you're proceeding at risk. Because again, the grant program is very competitive. There's no guarantee you're going to get funded one way or another. However, if when you went through the process and you found out that doing this project is so economically beneficial to you that you're going to start it anyway, and you want to take advantage of other programs that you may find out that may be out there with the Department of Energy or IRS, you may choose to move forward, and then if awarded, we would reimburse you, and it'll be icing on the cake. Okay? So that's just something to keep in mind. It can cover permitting fees, professional fees, feasibility studies, business plans, getting your energy audit and energy assessment completed, construction costs if you are replacing your existing facility, the purchase of the equipment itself. Oops, I don't know how I did that. There is a loan component of this particular program as well. We haven't done any, and we really would like to do more, and I'm glad to find that there are lenders here because I'm hoping through the workshops that we're doing that we'll have more participation, and they will. With this particular program, we don't directly loan money. We don't directly loan money to businesses at all with any of our programs. But what we do is we empower the lending community and the banks so that it encourages them to provide you with funding. So we provide them a guarantee. Depending on the dollar amount of your project, we can provide up to an 85% loan guarantee. And that's like an insurance policy. By chance, you just kind of go under and things don't work out, we can guarantee them up to that amount of that loan. There are also some other benefits and perks for lenders to participate in the program because they can sell the guarantee and so forth. But this is an avenue available to encourage banks to provide funding for energy types of projects. There are guarantee fees, there's a renewal fee, and all those things could be worked out with the lender. There are minimums and maximums with the guarantee program. As you can see, the maximum loan amount is $25 million, and the minimum is $5,000. The guarantee can cover up to 75% of the total project cost. Now, I know I'm talking to all business owners. I've been a business owner before, owner of a business before as well, and we all know that we all have to have some skin in the game, right? Very few places you're going to go, and you don't have to invest something into it. So this guarantee, as you can see, it's not going to cover 100% of the cost. You're going to have a 25% contribution if you go with the guarantee program. You can use the programs in combination. You can do a guaranteed loan as well as a grant. And remember, the grant can cover 25%. Then the loan can only cover 50% because, again, you as a business owner need to have some skin in the game, and you'll have to have a 25% injection. So I just wanted to share how you can utilize the programs together or separately if you're interested in applying. It can cover everything from real estate, equipment, working capital, just like any other loan. The rates and terms are designed and developed by the bank. It's up to you to negotiate. We're not getting involved with that. We're providing the guarantee to make it an incentive for them to provide you with funding. Otherwise, it's up to you to negotiate the rest of that business with your lender. Applications are received they go through what we call a notice of funding availability. That's when it's put out and publicized in the public registry, and it tells you a beginning date when you can start submitting applications, and it gives you a date that a deadline when you have to submit those applications by. I would advise you not to wait on the NOFA, because when the notice comes out, it's gonna be published for about 30 days, and it'll tell you you have to submit your application in about 45 days. This process is a little, it has some steps involved, so it's hard to do them in short order at the last minute, especially when you only have 2 or 3 providers that may be on the island that do energy audits, and then everybody's rushing him at the same time to get it all done. So it's better if you're considering a project to go ahead and apply as early as you possibly can, as soon as you know. We can provide you with the application template from last year and the notice from last year that you can use. And if there's any modifications or changes, we'll just kind of fill that change in at a later time, but at least you're not rushing, okay? In this application process as well, I noticed we had a gentleman here who does energy audits, and I know there's, from other projects, there are a few companies here that also do energy assessments and energy audits. It is a requirement for the program to either do a technical report or energy assessment or energy audit. However, that's prudent to you because you can't participate in something unless you know how much money you're really going to save. And those assessments help you know if it's going to take you, say for instance, if you have to invest in the project $50,000, that energy audit is going to tell you, hey, you invest your $50,000, they're going to invest $15,000, $20,000 with the grant. You're going to have the IRS tax rebate that you're going to apply for that may give you a rebate of 30% of that. And then, so that means your return to owner might be 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 5 years, depending. Once you see, and then after that point, the rest is gravy. The rest is like icing on the cake because you've paid off your investment and you have mitigated your energy costs. You have come off the grid. So you need to have that assessment done for our benefits because we want to know that we're being prudent with the grant dollars that we're putting out there. But you also need to know how long it's going to take you to recoup your investment, okay? So don't wait till the last minute. I am available as well as Kimmy. She is local here. Her office is right down the street. And her and the folks that are there can help you with any questions that you might have. Our application process, to me, is quite simple. To some, it's not. I know in business you're not used to a lot of federal forms. However, it's a template. So if you're interested, we'll email you the application, and when you see it, you'll say, oh my God, 45 pages, what am I gonna do? Well, it's designed to make it easy. So there's a cover sheet, there's a table of contents, there are tabs for you, there's instructions for how to fill out every sheet, even if you know how to fill out your name, your address, and a phone number. There's instruction that tells you to put your name, address, and phone number. So when it gets down to it, it's really not that terrible. So I don't want you to be intimidated by the application. But if you are, and if you'd like for us to go through the application with you, I will be happy to do that by phone. I'll tell you to pull it up on your computer, I'll pull it up on mine, and we'll go through a few parts of it just to get you warmed up and comfortable. Or worst case scenario, or you can always, not worst case, but best case as well, you can come into the office and they can help you through the process. There are also grant writers that are out there that help put applications together. You don't have to use them. That's your personal prerogative because all they're doing is collecting a lot of information that you're going to give them, that you're going to have to give them anyway, but you could choose to do that. And they're also providers of the product that also do help you with applications. Some of them do. There's a couple in Florida in particular, and this may be something that you may want to consider. But there's a couple in particular, and not in Florida. They do projects in Florida. They're not even closely related. They're not even in the state of Florida. And they provide energy audits and energy assessments, and they also help the applicant with the application package. They have a direct relationship with many of the other solar providers and energy providers in the region, and they work with them in helping them put together the application, helping you put together the application, and then they have some kind of fee, I believe. I'm not promoting them. I'm not giving you any names. I'm not promoting anybody. I don't care if you use them and do it yourself. But they do have those services that they provide, and I think they get a fee if the project is awarded, or they may charge a small fee to the business that they're using. But many of the solar providers help with the application themselves because to find out how much energy you're going to create or save or do the technical report, you're going to have to get their information anyway. They're going to have to give that data to you because you don't know what the solar panel is going to produce. They got to tell you that. Okay. Like I said, projects are ranked and scored. We fund the ones that score the best, the ones that we have the funding to score, and then again, we also submit it to our national office for review to see if they can fund any additional ones that we have. So that's pretty much how the program works. We have already funded the projects that we're going to fund out of our Florida and Virgin Islands funding source for this fiscal year. We do have about 4 or 5 applications from the VI here that are at our national office for review. We'll probably have more word about those in the next 30 to 45 days or less. But our next notice will come out somewhere between January and April. That's when they always come out, and then they'll give you about a 30, 45-day window to respond. But again, I would advise you not to wait until that time. To contact us, you have Mr. Joe Mueller. He's in our Gainesville State office. He's our business program manager, which the energy program falls under him. I'm Angela Prylo. I am an area director as well as our energy coordinator. My information is there, but I'm going to advise you not to call me on that number if you can help it, because I'm only in the office every now and then. Email is the best way to contact me because I have a couple offices that I work out of. And then we have Kimmy Bryce that's here locally, and her contact number and email address is there as well. I will advise you before you leave, if you haven't. And so I know you have my PowerPoint, but we have something called a fact sheet. It has all the pertinent facts that you need to know about these grant programs, all on one sheet. So I'd advise you to grab a fact sheet before you leave for either energy efficiency or renewable energy, so that you can have it and you don't have to remember all of this stuff that I told you about. Okay? Before we move forward, I'm going to have Joe come back up to talk with you about our business and industry programs as well as other value add and different types of programs that we have available for farmers and ranchers. But before we do that, I just want to thank Mr. Jones for coming today. He was one of our REAP recipients this year. Yes. Some more? Okay. Is Ms. Smith here? Okay. Would you like to say anything about your experience with the program? I know I put you on the spot, didn't I?
I just want to say the program is very helpful to people who have a high WAPA bill. Yeah. Like my bill is over $6,000 a month, and when I heard about USDA with these grants, I found a grant writer, and she helped me with the papers, and I'm lucky. I get awarded. So thank you, Donna, and people from USDA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, now, yes. Yes, I was going to say, we have any questions? Okay. Okay, what type of technical report that we do for renewable energy? The energy audit is not required for renewable energy projects if it's a smaller project. Larger ones over 200,000 have to have a technical report as well as an energy assessment. The technical report, if you get the application template from us, it has 10 points on there that you have to address. And it's you have to address it, and it tells us about if there's permitting, who's part of the project team, if it's a project economically feasible, is it technologically feasible, many questions like that. The best, and that's an important question to ask, because when I say we rank and score projects, we rank and score projects, A, on technical merit and on the technical report, and B, there's another score and evaluation process that goes through. Now, as the applicant, you control your application score to a certain degree. In the application packet, there's something called a self-score sheet. We allow you to score yourself. We tell you everything that we're going to give you points for. So if you, on there is one for, say, matching funds. So if we're going to provide 25% of the fund project and grant for you, we want to know if you can come up with the other 75% of the project cost. So you may check off, yes, I can. But if you don't give me any supporting data to support that, I'm going to have to take those points right away from you. So what you can do is if you have a line of credit, if you have a relationship with your bank, you may have it in your savings, you may have it on a credit card. It really doesn't matter to me as long as you put something in there to support that data. So you control your own self-scoring through that process. Then when we look at your technical reported energy assessment, we review it for technical merit and then add additional technical points based on that. But you'll also see that because it's a part of the application. That's why I said it's not necessary for the smaller renewable projects. It's mainly assessed. It's 200,000. All energy efficiency projects require an energy audit or energy assessment. It's very similar to the technical report. It's just and it gives you a guide. So as long as you address the things on the guide, it's pretty straightforward. Yes. Any other questions?
Assuming that you're using 22 kW to your business, and you already dropped your kW I dropped my kW to 14 kW. I changed every equipment that I can change, and I'm in the 14 kW now. I'm paying, I used to pay WAPA $7,000. I'm in WAPA now. I started with 3,000. Now they went back up to 4,000. Now what do I have to do? I want to go solar because I think that's the best thing to do. What do I have to do now to go solar since I already cut almost all the energy?
Well, first of all, I want to commend you for making the effort to go ahead and move forward with those things that you've already done. I wish I had met you a few years ago because for each one of those projects, we could have provided 25% of those project costs or a percent. No, you don't need the money now. You're done. And that's a question I get all the time. I've already done my project, but I like the program. Can I apply now? And the answer is no, unfortunately, because you got to remember, this is your tax dollar. These are grant dollars. We want to put them in projects that you need the money for the project. So if the project's done, you already paid for it.
No, but I mean, I
but in this case, however, you now can apply for the REAP program for the solar portion. Right. We can send you an application template. You can go ahead and get started on it. We can connect you with if you need some help with finding out grant writers, solar providers, any of that information. You already have all that. Then all you have to do is submit an application to us, and we will utilize it for the 2014 application cycle. Now, if you choose to go ahead and move forward with your project after you submit your application, that's completely up to you. We don't make any guarantees one way or another. But if you'd like to do that and you are selected, we will reimburse you your 25%. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Honey, I'm always on the spot. Go ahead.
We were here once for another meeting, and one of the companies said they had been offered a grant through REAP, but the reports that had to go in because of the grant was going to cost more than the cost of the grant. Okay. Explain that, please.
All right. Very good. I'm glad you asked that question. Our reporting doesn't cost a dime. Okay? That's the first thing I want to tell you. Now, it costs time to complete certain reports. So if you're not going to invest 20 minutes every couple of months or 30 minutes in a year to do a compliance review, then that may be your choice. Now, there are a few things that you have to do that we require. First of all, we want to know how our money's being done, how our money's being spent, if you're really saving energy. So for the first 2 or 3 years, depending on what kind of project you have, we'll ask for you to give us what we call an annual assessment. To help do that, we've given you a one-page report, a one-page sheet. You just fill out something like 10, 15 lines. But you need to tell us, we want to know how much energy you saved this year opposed to last year. That's all. After you installed your project, how much energy have you saved from this year opposed to last year. Another reporting requirement that we have is once we award our projects, we don't like our money just to be sitting out there in Never Never Land waiting on you to finish this thing for the next 5 years. So what we require is you do what we call a quarterly report every 3 months. It's a little report that you send back to us to tell us if you started on your project or not. What I've done with my REAP applicants this year is I've done a draft dummy of that report already. So all they have to do is recreate it every quarter until they get ready to spend their money, and then they change the numbers and say, I spent my money. Once we'll do a site inspection once the project is finished, so we know that you've done what you said you're going to do. And then in addition to that, pretty much most programs that get government grant dollars, we do a compliance. And when we do a compliance review, if your facility is open to the general public and they're in and out the general public all the time, we're going to look to see if it's in compliance and having equal access for everybody, non-discriminatory practices. If when we get there, if you have safety hazards, we're gonna make a suggestion that you come up with a plan of action to remedy it. Do we force you to do it? No. But we ask you to tell us a plan, how you plan to remedy it, because you have the public coming in and out of your facility, and we want to make sure it's a safe environment. That owner might have assumed that he had to make those changes and adjustments right then, and oh my God, and and it may cost too much money, but those are our requirements. Okay? Yes.
Let us get you the mic, make it easier.
Hi, good evening. I'm curious about the level of funding available for the program. So you mentioned 3,000 to 60,000 is the average project size. Well, first of all, are the funds since Florida and the Virgin Islands are grouped together, are the funds for Florida and the Virgin Islands segregated, or are they lumped in? And what is available to the Virgin Islands? In this last funding cycle, I think we did about $75,000 in projects. I think prior to that it was like 50,000. So what is the pool of funding available to the Virgin Islands?
Very good question. Florida and the Virgin Islands, although we service both locations, you have a separate funding pool, completely separate from Florida's. I can't move money from Florida funds to the VI, and I can't move VI funds to Florida. I wish I could, but I can't. This last funding year, this was a very tough year for rural development, very, very tough. We cut a lot of programs, and our REAP program took the biggest hit it ever had, mainly because there's no farm bill. Because remember I said it's funded out of the farm bill? But because we are so committed as an agency to this program, they pulled and found funding from other sources just to keep REAP alive. In doing that, however, we've had one of our smallest funding years that we've had. So for the Virgin Islands, we had for the grant program, we had a little over $100,000, which is not a whole lot. But I can tell you, like I said, a couple of years ago or a year ago, there are projects that got over $100,000 each. So it just varies. We're hopeful that with the new farm bill that there'll be more money put into the pot for both Florida and the VI. It's very difficult. By next year, they should have a farm bill all complete. We'll know the categories. They've tried to work out some kinks and bugs and come up with new ways of looking at how to fund the territories. And I actually want to commend your representative on that, because there's certain, everything's numbers. There's certain formulas that are designed to determine who gets what. And I know they're reevaluating that so that they can put more money into the territories as well. So a lot of these things we expect to see with this new farm bill. Okay. Any other questions at all? Yes. Yes.
You'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. I wanted to just say that, Ms. Prylo has said over and over, we'll help you. She's not blowing smoke, okay? She really will work with you. And the other point that I've picked up from last night and today is that, yes, you can get a grant writer, but sometimes your best help in putting these together are the companies that you're going to be working with, your supplier, whether it's solar or wind or whatever. There was a question? Oh. Oh, yeah, hi. This is one of your recipients. So, Legacy Restaurants. So if you wanted to just.
Well,
we
good
had,
evening, everyone.
Mr. Jones, just talk about his experience with the.
Oh, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sana Joseph Smith. I'm with Legacy Restaurants, doing business as IHOP St. Croix. And we were very fortunate to be awarded actually 2 grants, 2 separate ones from the same program there. So nice to see you. She's been a great help. I wrote the grants myself. We're not in a position to hire somebody fabulous to write the grants. It takes a while, but we got it through. It was really helpful for us. We were able to switch to get energy efficient ACs in our restaurant, and that really helped a lot. And the next one will be to help us with the first phase of our solar panels that we're putting up. And it's a huge help because we were able to get financing, but they required a down payment. And so we were able to use the grant monies to help towards the down payment, and then we contribute our funds to it. I would definitely tell everybody, don't be turned off by the fact of the 60 pages. If you take your time and go through it, I'm no smarter than anybody else here, then you can navigate through it. And then whoever is providing your panels or whoever's helping install the actual energy efficient or solar panels or whatever it is that you're doing, they can help you with the technical words and information that you need. So we were able to do it, and I'm just really grateful for it. And it's definitely going to be a huge help for our business. We're estimating that between the combination of the two, we'll be able to save probably up to 75% off of our bill with a lot that we've been doing. But we've been very aggressive and assertive about making sure that we do everything that's possible. So we've worked with everybody you can think of. So I would just encourage everyone here to reach out and get all the help that you can get. And you put it all together, and you'll be amazed at what you're able to come up with. So thanks again.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Yes. Okay. One thing I wanted to let you know is that if your project, because again of limited funding, if your project's not selected and you want to roll it over into the next fiscal year, I know as we did that, one of her projects was funded that last year, one could not be funded. So what I did was I contacted her and I said, listen, it's time again. If you like, all I need is X, Y, Z, and we can revitalize this thing. And we did, and she was one of the first funded. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. Here you go.
Thank you, Angela. Okay, we're going to stop talking about energy for a minute, and we're going to talk about some of our other programs. And Angela mentioned that we got 40 of them, and we don't have time tonight to talk about 40 different programs, so we won't be doing that. So you'll be able to stay awake, I promise. But we do have a few other business programs that we administer. A couple of them for agriculture, for ag producers, and one of them that I'd like to talk about is our Business and Industry Loan Guarantee Program, and it's available to ag producers or businesses. We're agriculture, we're USDA, but we finance everything under the sun, and we don't finance just ag. In fact, we don't finance ag production. That's handled by another agency. We finance value-added agriculture type projects, packing houses, any type of value-added processing. We got a lot of different things that we can do. But rural development last year financed more hotels than we did anything that was ag-related. So, and I'm talking about rural development, Florida. We don't have any hotels in St. Croix, but we do a variety of businesses. And so if you have a business that's got some financing needs, it's possible that we can provide a guarantee. And of course, SBA has a guarantee program, and we don't try to duplicate what they do. Our guarantees are usually on loans that are a little bit larger. We can guarantee loans up to $10 million. Our average loan is $3 to $4 million, maybe closer to $5 now. So we help finance businesses that are usually a little bit larger. We rarely finance one that's in the $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 range. We don't do that size of loan because it's easier for your banks to take those loans to SBA. That's just the best way to do it in most cases. Now, there's some times when we can be of assistance when SBA has restrictions on the types of businesses that they finance, and they have some things that they won't do that we will do. So every once in a while we do a smaller loan. But Carl and his programs are tremendous help for businesses, and the trick is to find a bank in the territory or out of the territory if you need to. But Carl can talk about that. The Business and Industry Program requires that you got some money in it, just like Angela said, that you got some skin in the game, either equity or cash, and it doesn't have to necessarily be cash. So if you've got equity in your business, and it has to be tangible equity, it's not what the business is worth, but what it's worth on the balance sheet. And we look at balance sheets that are prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So it has to be true equity on your balance sheet. But the requirement is that on an existing business it be at least 10% equity, and on a new business, then 20% for startup type operations. The first thing that you do if you're interested in this type of loan is to find a bank that's comfortable with your project. Get your banker on board with you, and then have the bank give us a call. In actuality, the bank is our applicant. They apply to us for the guarantee. You're a very important part of it. We need information from you as well as the bank, but we want the bank to be the one that originates the loan with us. It's a little bit more cumbersome process, not because we want it to be. It's because one of the reasons is it's a larger loan. Usually you're dealing with larger loans. We do everything we can, though, to expedite the process. And usually within 60 days from the time we get a complete application, we've closed our loan guarantee. So it's not an onerous process. It can be a little frustrating at times, but in a lot of cases it's not, especially if your bank has some experience with us. But we are very close with our banks. We pride ourselves on that, and we will do everything we can to keep the process going and to get you what you need. The types of projects that we finance are anything that's legal business, except for a few things. We don't do golf courses, and we don't do racetracks, and we don't do illegal things like prostitution. Actually, prostitution is not illegal in a couple states, or at least one state out west, and they put that in our regulations to make sure that we don't do any prostitution loans in Nevada. But we don't do ag production, and that's something that we're not allowed to do, even though we got USDA on our shirts and our name. We don't do ag production type loans. FSA has some loan programs for ag production. There's some other ag lenders in the world that do ag loans, but we're not able to do those production type loans. Now, having said that, there are a few exceptions. And since it's government, we're always going to have exceptions and but ifs and what fors. We can do horticulture, so nursery type operations. We can do forestry. We can do aquaculture. So there are some ag production type businesses that we can help finance. We can also do mushrooms and hydroponics. And why Congress put those in the regulations, but I don't know, but they did. They specifically said we can do mushrooms and hydroponics. But as you can see, those kinds of business enterprises are a little bit more capital intensive, and that's one of the reasons that they let us help finance those, because it takes more capital to make one of those businesses work. it's a great program. If there's questions, I'll take them now or after we're done. Yes, sir.
What did you say about the loans? At what percentage the loans go for?
That's between you and the bank. The bank and you negotiate the loan rates. What we've been seeing, though, are in the 6% range. They're usually variable rates, and they're usually around 6%. They sometimes can be a little higher and sometimes can be a little lower, but that's typically what we've seen in the last couple of years. I would recommend that. Yes, ma'am.
Are you working with any local banks right now?
We have no banks in the territory that are currently making loans. Carl's going to talk about that. We've talked to some banks yesterday, and we're going to be talking to them before we leave. But currently there's not. First Bank has made some loans with us in the past. They haven't made any in the last few years, 2 or 3 years, but they have made some loans. Banco Popular has made loans in the past, not very recently though. But we have no problem with them. If they want to come back and work with us, that's great. We didn't throw them out or tell them they couldn't make more loans or anything like that. There's some loans, there's some banks stateside that have made loans here recently. There's a bank called Independence Bank out of Rhode Island that's made a fair number of loans here, both here and in St. Thomas. If there's no other questions about the B&I program, and I know that was a short description of the program, and if you have questions, we can talk about it. But I wanted to talk just about a couple of ag programs that there was some interest in last night, and since there was last night, I assume there might be tonight. And these are grant programs, so everybody's interested in grant money if they can get it. We have one called our Value-Added Producer Grant, and you hear about, there's no money for grants for individuals or individual businesses, but there actually is in this particular case. Individual farmers or groups of farmers can receive value-added producer grants to help them finance projects that help them get a little more of the consumer's dollar. Basically, it's designed to finance projects to get into value-added ventures. That could be making fruits into jelly, packaging produce and selling it rather than just selling it wholesale to a broker. It could be any type of value-added venture that helps provide more dollars to you, the farmer. We haven't done any in the territory yet, but we have in Florida. We've got an applicant or two in St. Thomas that have provided applications, and they weren't quite complete in the past couple years, or they weren't, the project itself wasn't eligible. But we can do those kinds of things, and we're working with those folks to get their application right and try again this year. And then this program, since it's a grant, it's very competitive as well. And about 1/3 of the applicants get funding in this program. But again, it's a scoring type system, so you gotta work on your score and do the best you can to get your score as high as possible. And we're always willing to talk to you about how the projects are scored and what you can do to improve it. I was telling some folks last night, we don't want applications that we can't fund. We want applications that we can fund, and we want this money to come to Florida or the Virgin Islands, not to some other state. And the money's always spent every year, and it goes somewhere else if it doesn't come here. So we want to help you guys get the money here where we can make some good with it. Now, with the value-added program, there are some energy-related uses for that program, and I won't go into a lot of detail, but there is the ability to do energy-type projects with it. But individual producers can use this program. Producer groups and cooperatives can use this program. So if you have a project or you have you're a member of a co-op that has a project that we might be able to help with, just let us know. Kimmy can help you, and when she needs us to help her help you, we're always happy to do that. So let us know if we can. One last program I'd like to mention. We have a small and socially disadvantaged producer grant. This is a technical assistance grant that the agency administers for ag producers who are members of minority groups, women-owned farmers, any of those protected classes of farmers that might be interested in improving their ability to make a profit and be sustainable. A few years ago, there was one awarded here in St. Croix, and the project was completed, and unfortunately, I don't know that it really resulted in a lot of success for the farmers. But that doesn't mean we can't get another grant in the territory and use it here to help farmers, and we're always interested in working with that. That program, again, is one that's it's published in the Federal Register each year, and there's a notification on application deadlines and what types of materials need to be included in an application, and it can be a benefit to the farmers in St. Croix. So, yes, ma'am. It's the Small and Socially Disadvantaged Producer Grants. And Kimmy can get you a fact sheet on that program. Do you have any tonight? No, but what I do is okay, all right. If we have your email, we can send it to you. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
On both those grants, is there a low and a high, like, what we give us an idea of how much is awarded?
On the value-added producer grant program, that's a real good question. I should have mentioned that. The maximum grant is $300,000, and there's a 50% match. So if you get $300,000, you got to have $300,000 of your own dollars. If you get $5,000, you got to have $5,000 of your own dollars. So that's the limit on that program. The technical assistance grant to small and socially disadvantaged producers has a $100,000 maximum. And it's designed, again, for technical assistance, so it's not likely that you're going to need several $100,000. If you're looking for some kind of a study or a feasibility study or a business planning assistance or something like that, that's the type of thing that grant's used for. And you can usually get that for that kind of dollars. Okay. Kimmy, there's some homeowners here, so Kimmy's going to talk about a couple of our housing programs for you before we move on to Carl.
Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. Alrighty. As you are already aware, I am your local point of contact for any and all programs that we offer. And to be more specific, our office is located just east of the Cost-U-Less establishment in what most people call the Department of Labor building on the second floor, if you need to get us physically come in. Alrighty. Now, USDA Rural Development does not have a program that was targeted specifically for energy relief to homeowners. But because of all the inquiries that we've been receiving, we did go back to our books and see what programs could be used for eligible applicants. And what we passed out earlier, there were two sheets. One is titled the 502 Direct, and one is titled 504 Loan and/or Grant. Okay, are there any extras floating around? Oh, there might be some on this end. Okay. All right, if you can at least share with someone in the meantime, and then we'll get you some before you leave, okay? Alrighty, now the first one I'm going to touch on is the 502 Direct program. And this program is typically used to help very low and low income clients who are seeking homeownership to obtain a mortgage. But under this program, I think we can be a little creative and utilize the program also for persons who may want to do energy improvements to their home. Again, this program is specifically for very low and low income clients. Okay, all of our programs, top categories that I'm going to speak on this evening would be low income. And we'll go through the income limits shortly. There are no grants available under this program. Okay? Now, if you look at the income limits, which are located about a third of the way down, you'd see the top level for St. Croix. You'd find your household size, and that figure there would be the maximum that you can have in your household for income. Yes.
Why is it?
Between St. Thomas and St. Croix? Well, that information is really from census. Okay, it's comprised of information that was taken during past census taking, and believe it or not, most of the time you'll find that income on St. Thomas tends to be higher. You'll find persons there having 2 and 3 jobs. That's just how it is. But it is a difference in income between the islands, okay? So, again, we're looking at the figures on the top line based on your household size, and we're looking at adjusted income. So we start with your gross total household income. We take certain deductions off if you have dependents, or if you're paying any daycare, or any kind of daycare or babysitting services, childcare, we can take off on an annual cost from what your total household gross is. We also do one-time deductions for elderly. If the applicants are elderly, we can do that deduction. And then we get you to what's called an adjusted income. So if your income at that time does fall within, a lot of eyebrows are going up. I see the eyebrows laughing. But again, these programs were not geared specifically for energy, nor were they geared specifically for every homeowner's dream to have energy improvements. These programs are specifically for a certain clientele that are not typically able to obtain conventional mortgages. Okay, so we deal with a specific audience that we can assist to obtain home ownership. So now we're trying to see if maybe we can use this program to help persons who fall within this income limit to maybe utilize it for energy improvements as well. Okay? Now, since we have not been able to use this program as yet, it's in the initial stages, and we're hoping that we are able to utilize it. Our loan limit for this program on St. Croix is $218,500. Now, would an energy improvement project cost that much? Possibly not. So, with the first ones that we're able to assist, we'll see, maybe what an average cost may be, and based on those figures, hopefully we can get a better idea. I'm assuming maybe anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, if that much at all. Okay. Now, rates and terms under this program. Currently, the interest rate is 3.5%, and that's a fixed interest rate. However, the program is subsidized, and it can be subsidized to as low as a 1% if the individual and the household does qualify for a 1% payment. Okay? Again, this is fixed. The 3.5 would be fixed, the 1% subsidized, and then they're recertified on an annual basis to see if they still qualify for that reduced rate. Credit scores, we like to see 640 at a minimum. If it's below a 640, then we look on a case-by-case basis to see what that situation may have been, that caused the credit score to go lower, and we can still work with you individually. Now, this particular assistance would have to, similarly to our other energy program, be on a reimbursement basis. Okay, we don't issue any funds up front for the project to begin. And I know that's going to be a little challenging because of the clientele that we're going to be dealing with. So we're hoping that maybe we can get a vendor or two that is able to learn and understand the program realize that once the project is completed, the funds would be available to them. Usually within 7 days, we order a check and it's here. And hopefully that might be the way to go. Okay, but it will be on a reimbursement basis. The units that we're going to be able to assist would have to be single-family dwellings. Our program is specifically geared towards single-family units. We cannot have any multi-family, so if you're going to be renting or having a duplex, live on one side, rent the next, things that aren't going to be allowed, you'd have to definitely occupy the dwelling at the time that we issue the funding. We will, of course, put a mortgage, because it is a mortgage loan. We like to have first lien. That's preferred. However, if there is currently a lien on the property or another mortgage, we can determine if security is there for us to take a second or third. Loans greater than $15,000 would be required. We would require homeowners insurance. So if the individual currently does not have insurance on a home, that's something that would be required if it's above a $15,000 loan. Okay. Of course, there will be closing costs, and depending on the loan amount, actually for this program, escrow is mandatory. So taxes and insurance would be included in the monthly payment. Okay. Now the other program, the 504 Loan and Grant Program. Although it says loan and or grant, based on the regs, and we've been reading them, it appears that only the loan portion of this particular program can be used possibly for energy-related projects, simply because the grant is used or can be used to remove safety and health issues or hazards, and or to make the home handicap accessible for someone that may have that need. Okay? And this program, as you take a look, you'll see that the limits are even lower than the 502 Direct, because it's a program that was geared for helping very low-income clients to do repairs to their homes. Okay? Now, the rates for this particular program is a fixed 1%. Okay, it doesn't change. It's going to be a fixed 1% for the duration. Maximum term for this program is 20 years. For the last one that I was speaking on, you can do as much as at 33, sometimes at 38. But I'm thinking because of how low these projects may be, you'd be looking closer to maybe a 10, 15. We'll determine what your repayment ability shows for the term. Now, again, this one will be on a reimbursement basis. We don't look at any minimum credit score for this particular program. However, we'd have you complete a budget, a household budget, to determine if you would show repayment ability for the loan. Again, very low income, so it's going to be sometimes challenging for the individual, but we'll look at the budget to see if they do show eligible. The maximum that you can borrow under this program would be $20,000. So it's $20,000 at a 1%. The maximum payment could be $92 for the principal and interest portion of the loan. Okay, of course, if there's taxes and insurance included, that will be escrowed, that would be added on. But for the loan itself, the principal and interest, maximum $20,000 at 1%. The most that you can pay is $92. Okay, even with escrow, I'm sure that payment would be less than what many of you are paying for your costs at WAPA. Okay, and even if these programs aren't for you, please share them to anyone who may have. Sometimes the people, and I'm not going to say most of them, but a lot of them may have higher bills, believe it or not, than the average household. And it's harder for them simply because they have lesser income. So please share the information with anyone that you see fit. No, the most for the principal and interest portion, because the maximum is $20,000 and it's a 1% fixed. Okay? Loans of $7,500 or more we secure by a mortgage. First lien isn't required. Again, we like to have it, but it's not required. As long as the security is there, we can take second or third. Loans greater than $15,000, we like to have homeowners insurance, escrow if it's greater than $15,000. And for both closing costs do apply. And for the programs, you can apply year-round. Okay, funding is not necessarily always available, but the applications can be done year-round. We're in a government cycle, October 1st to September 30th, so at some points, funding may not be there, but we'll have the application prepped and ready for when funding is available. Okay? I don't know if you have any questions.
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
So what happens to the person who are, let's say, ballpark,
Mhm.
who is 65 years older,
Mhm.
has no mortgage,
Mhm.
has a rental property,
Mhm.
what do you have for them?
Yeah. Under our housing programs,
No.
there's, again, no, not at this point. Yes, okay. Thank you. And at the end of the session, if you need to see me for whether it's the homeowners program, homeowners program or any of the business programs for USDA, I have some additional fact sheets over here at this table. Thank you.
Do you have any sample applications for REAP?
Yes, I do
And-
have a few samples. Again, the preferred is fillable. It's just easier to do the template online. If someone would like to have a hard copy to kind of work on, that's available as well as a 504 or 502 application.
And Carl Christensen is going to speak to you next, and he has some very exciting things to tell you. But I want him to also talk a little bit about the bank meeting that we had yesterday.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for waiting around. As Donna said, we had an extremely interesting meeting with the bankers yesterday. Ironically, I got an email from the governor this morning, and he wanted to find out himself over the last couple of years, what the banks are doing in comparison to what, as far as SBA lending, in comparison to what the banks are doing in Puerto Rico that has branches here. I had given them that report from 2007 up to 2012, about a year ago. But he wanted from 2012 to 2013, as far as we've gotten so far in FY 2013. There's a reason, I'm assuming, that he's asking for this information. And the reason is why we had a discussion with the banks yesterday. I'm extremely glad to see Chris and Christiana from First Bank, and I'm extremely glad to see Helena Emanuel from Scotiabank. We're meeting with them next week, and we're talking about a new, exciting program that has really taken over. Excuse me. And that program is drawing a lot of people to SBA lending. Now, what we discussed yesterday with the banks is how can we get them to get more involved with us? They came up with some very interesting suggestions. And one of the suggestions was, especially the bank's headquarters in Puerto Rico, is getting the corporate managers, the top people in Puerto Rico, involved in getting their branches here to do SBA and rural development lending. That was unique because it pointed out to us that they're aware that there is a problem. So we're going to be looking into that, and we got some other suggestions from them that we're going to also consider. And I'll tell you about that in a little while. But what I do want to talk about today is a program that's drawing a lot of attention, that I'm getting a lot of requests for. We do agricultural lending and we do energy lending. But the energy lending, we do not have a specific program set aside just for energy lending. But any one of our loans can apply to energy loans, any one of our loan programs. As far as agricultural lending, we can't lend you money to put a seed in the ground, but we can lend you money that when that seed turns to a mango tree and that mango tree produces a mango, and you make jelly or jam out of that mango, you've added value to that product, and we can lend you money for that. We can give you a grant for inventors. We can give, and there's more than one inventor here tonight. in this room, and I've spoken with the other gentleman right there about the same thing. I've spoken with another gentleman about another product that he's inventing. And we can give you money, we can give you a grant to work on that invention up to the production of the prototype. It's called an SBIR, which means Small Business Innovative and Research Program. And you can check our our email, which is sba.gov, for information on that, or come and see me. 718-5381 is my number. I'm Carl Christensen. So, SBIR. And, yeah, SBI. 718-5381. And you'll see in that listing that SBIR/STTP. That's all the same program. So yesterday in St. Thomas, I was very pleasantly surprised that an electrical engineer spoke to me about an invention that they have, that he's putting together, that he has. So it just shows we have a lot of creative minds in the Virgin Islands. Value added. I've been speaking to a gentleman, and all three of these gentlemen have something in common. I've been speaking to a gentleman who wants to produce seaweed, a drink, out of seaweed. I'm sorry? And this is done in the islands, and they're looking to set up a production plant here. I'm speaking to a gentleman that wants to do hot sauce, and he wants to do the hot sauce here. He wants to add the value to the peppers here, but the peppers are coming out of Trinidad. So that might create a problem with our loan, but I'm working on that. Yesterday, I spoke to a gentleman who has an orchard of guava berries, and they want to produce some sort of drink from the guava berry. I guess you all know what sort of drink that might be. But he's looking to produce a product from that. The coincidence with all of these is that, other than the seaweed to a certain extent, is all the products are coming from off island. Yeah, but because we don't have enough peppers, hot peppers that the gentleman need to make his product work here. Although in the seaweed situation, the gentleman this is a doctor in agronomy, and he's getting ready to buy a property that was owned by the housing department to set up his production plant. And you know, I'm saying this to say that there's a lot of activity going on. I'm speaking to a gentleman, a young gentleman in his early 20s, who's an attorney up at American University. He's a law student up at American University. This young man is bringing drinks, all sorts of drinks, made in Jamaica. You know, mango, everything you can think of, made in Jamaica. And he has 74 outlets that he's dealing with. And he's coming to me for funds to expand beyond where is it now in the Virgin Islands, in Tortola, and he's looking to go down to St. Kitts and Antigua. Just takes a little bit. And how is he doing this? He's doing it by computer and telephone. He's in law school up at American U, and he has friends who are doing this distributorship down here that's going on very effectively, and it's working real good. So that's truly admirable. I have a doctor who just recently opened her practice here and has been in practice for about a year and a half, that believes in the economy and wants to extend her practice. So I'm saying that to say that there's still, not still, but there's a lot of opportunities here for people who's interesting. But let me tell you about the program that's really taken off. And I'm interested in talking to our banks about this program, because this program is really only being operated by a bank off island. Off island, folks. The name of the program is the Small Loan Advantage. And we have a bank that's off island, it's an SBA loan, that's giving you a loan up to $150,000, that's giving you a loan with literally no collateral, that's giving you a loan that's going to provide you with an answer in 3 days, that's giving you a loan that depends, that's a character loan, meaning that it depends on your credit score. You don't have to be concerned about equity, and this is an SBA guarantee loan. I'm doing more of these loans than in the 30 years I've been with SBA than I've ever done. And we're getting results. I did one today. And I've been with SBA for 30 years. I did one today to a restaurant that when I started 30 years ago in SBA was one of the first loans I ever did. And this restaurant reapplied under the same program. And it looks like he's going to get a positive answer. So what I want to do, now what I'm going to talk to Chris and Christiana and Helinda about is for them to get involved with this program so that same kind of service could be offered to our folks here. It's a good deal for the banks. It's probably one of the best friends our local banks can have. And let me tell you why. It's a bank that does commercial lending and only commercial lending. They do not have any branches here, so they're not competing with any local bank. They do not have any savings accounts here. They do not have any checking accounts here. They do not have any merchants account here. All they do is when you get approved, and a lot of people have been approved for this loan, when you get approved, what this bank will say, and I can't say the name of it, but call me later because the Bankers Association jumped on me because I mentioned the name. So I'm sort of holding back on the name, but if you call me, I can tell you. When you get this loan and it's approved, they're going to give you a checklist. And one of the requirements on the checklist is going to be a blank check, a void check with your business name on it. And this blank check with your business name on it is going to be a local bank. And when you get the $50,000 or $100,000 from your loan, it's going to be deposited into that local bank account. And a month or two later, when you start repaying that loan, it's going to come out of that local bank account. And all the new customers that the local are going to go to the local bank. So it's really a win-win situation. So if you have a need for that type of financing, and I hope Scotia and Bank of St. Croix, as did First Bank VI and Scotiabank did yesterday, I hope they find interest to apply for that program. For the gentleman who has a gas station and wanted to put up a solar panel, we have a program that's great for that. As a matter of fact, we have 2 people in this audience that use the program. And that program is called the 504 program. The 504 program is an asset-based loan program. That asset-based means that it's designed to build things, to build assets. It's 3-part financing. One part is put up by the bank, which is 50%. The other part is put up by a company set up, a nonprofit company set up by SBA called Certified Development Company. That's 40%. So it leaves you, the borrower, with 10%. 10% is a heck of a deal, folks, because anytime you go for a loan, you're going to have to pay 20 to 25%. So that's a very workable loan program, and I hope to get the local banks involved with this also. We have we have express loans that's designed specifically for veterans. We'll call a Patriot loan. We have loans designed specifically for exporting, all SBA related. And we have a procurement program. This means that you, as an individual, can sell to the federal government. One of the things that the governor wanted when he sent me an email today was to find out how many people are in the 8A and Hub Zone programs. And let me tell you, it's expanded considerably. We now have 20 people in Hub Zone. We still don't have enough folks in 8A, but we have an 8A certified company here, right sitting in the back. So all these things are possible. And what does that do? It gives you preferential bidding. And it's a very, very good deal. And let me tell you something. You see this lady here? She was responsible for the Hub Zone, for the expansion of the Hub Zone program. Big time. Because the way it was originally set up, it wouldn't have done us any good. Because what they had done was pull out separate separate areas of the Virgin Islands and designated them Hub Zone. Hub Zone means highly underutilized business zones. And it's really determined by the employment situation in these particular areas. But the problem with it for the Virgin Islands was that, and let me use an example, Bethlehem was considered a hub zone. Now, you know that we have companies, paving companies, for example, that has companies in Bethlehem. But if the paving company, which has gotten federal contract through the Hub Zone program, so say they get a contract to build roads or repair roads, and it's $5 million. 37% of their employees for that contract has to come from the Hub Zone area, Bethlehem. Now, you know as well as I do that if they need 100 people, they're not going to get 37 from Bethlehem alone with all the different trades. So what Donna did was set it up through legislation, and she can tell you about it herself, set it up through legislation so that 30% can come from anywhere in the Virgin Islands. So that made an enormous difference, and that's why we have the kind of hub zone, and we have some people here who are in hub zones also. And that's why we made, that made such a difference. Let me touch on one more program. One of the problems that we had, serious problem, was bonding. We have a lot of contractors here in the Virgin Islands that can't get bonded. And I don't care how good you are. And I had a call on this today. I don't care how good a contractor you are. If you can't get bonding, you're dead. You're dead. And we have been pushing to try to get bonding. What we've been doing is sending people off island to bonding agencies that says they would be interested in doing bonding in the Virgin Islands. But because we're in the Virgin Islands, it's far away and it's difficult for these companies. This company don't want to do bonding from an isolated place like us. What happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago was, after a long discussion, we got a company out of Maryland that have offices in Texas to get to sign up and got a license, a bonding agency license, right here in the Virgin Islands. So you can apply directly to that agency. There's a company that called me today from the New Generations Network. They're doing a lot of work for them, but they needed bonding. And I referred them through email to the gentleman. The name of the company is Freedom Bonding. The name of the president is Lee Stevens. And this lady wrote Lee Stevens, and she copied me and told me that she got a lot of valuable information from Mr. Stevens. And she's thanking Mr. Stevens, and Mr. Stevens is sending her an application. A week after that company opened here, they filled a bond for $93,000. So there's opportunity in bonding also. So I just wanted to leave you with those programs, and I give up my number, 718-5381. My email is carl.christensen, spelled the same way as Donna spells hers. They always ask me, are you a husband? You a brother? And I tell Donna, I just tell him, yeah. and Donna tells me, yeah, tell him, yeah. So I want to thank you for coming. You have my number, my email address, and if I can help, if you need for me to come to your place of business or to you individual, call me. Let's set up an appointment. Let's get things going. I'll be over here if you want to speak with me on a one-to-one basis. Once again, Chris, Christiana, Helena, thank you so much for coming. I look forward to speaking with you guys next week. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl. Any questions? Any questions for anyone? Carl mentioned the procurement. He and I have been working with GSA, who does all the federal contracting. SBA, SBDC at my office have ganged up on them to insist that Virgin Islands companies get the first choice for contracts. The regional director will be here, and we'll do a similar town hall with her when she comes on federal procurement in October. Yes.
Yes. This goes back to when we had the last meeting. Has anything straightened out with the exporting thing? We were talking about the exporting last time.
Has anything, the question is, has anything straightened out with the exporting? I'm just doing it for the camera.
Forgive my ignorance with old age, but what specifically was it?
We were talking about how hard it was to try to get the product here exported out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I remember. No, it really hasn't changed. What had happened was a company from here was setting up a business, was setting up a business in one of the islands. I forgot which one. But what it was a contract to set up kitchens in a school program off island, and there was problem as far as the exporting aspect of it was. But that hasn't changed. But we do have a vehicle now that we're working on that could change that. Any other questions?
I actually have two questions. I guess you at the end and you can respond. It's important to me as an installer to make sure that my customers have a quality product. I want to know if you guys have any regulations on sort of
We,
also, as well as certifications for installers to make sure that the right people are doing the job, so you don't have to repeat it, so the money doesn't go to waste.
you want to repeat it?
The question is are there any specifications that are required for equipment or any special qualifications for the installers to be eligible for the programs?
There's none as far as SBA goes. Of course, we like quality work. I don't know if there's any as far as rural development goes.
The energy audits need to be performed by a certified energy auditor, so that documentation should be a part of the application process.
Oh, more of a comment. I want census information here that was given based off of what I calculated. Somebody who makes $15,200 and lives by themselves pretty much makes $7.30 an hour. For a homeowner, that seems pretty unrealistic. And I was wondering if this information is accounted for all the people who live in projects, apartment owners or whatnot, or it was focused more on the homeowners. Because if it's not focused on the homeowners, then I think that number should probably come up a little bit. Encompass people.
I'm not sure if there's a way to go around the regulations, but
The comment was that the income level is so low that you're wondering if they are really looking at incomes of people who live in the low-income housing communities rather than homeowners. And if that is the case, he would expect the income level to be a little higher. I will tell you that Cliff Graham, who used to run the Housing Finance Authority, and I are looking at some of the things that might be happening in Alaska and Hawaii to see if we can get those incomes higher. So that's something we're working on. I don't know if you want to respond to the question, Kimmy.
I'm certainly going to take the question and send it on to our higher-ups, but at this point, I don't know of any way to go around the regulations. We sort of piggyback off of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and utilize the same income limits that they do. So I'll certainly speak to our housing chief and see if there's any way. I pretty much doubt it at this point. It's been in existence using the HUD limits for as long as I've been there, for the 16 years. So I will certainly look into it for you. But at this point, I don't know if there's any way to go around the regulations. Okay.
I don't know that this might change anything, but there's assessment going on currently on what is our actual poverty level. The poverty level that we're using is one based in the United States, the 50 states, and our average cost of living is much higher. And so we don't feel that our poverty level really reflects what poverty is in the Virgin Islands. And the Department of Health and Human Services is, as a part of the Affordable Care Act, is reviewing that and trying to assess what the actual poverty level is here and in the other territories, and they'll be doing it across the country. So that may help too. Okay. Well, I hope this has been valuable. Your questions, your comments have been helpful for us. The attention and your very presence, we really appreciate your coming out on a weekday night to join us for this town hall. And you've heard a lot of people say that they are going to be available, they're going to be helpful to you as we go along, and they really mean it. So please take advantage of the offers that have been made here. Again, thank you. And you have offices, you have Kimmy here, you have Carl here on island with us all of the time that can help us as you try to address your energy needs or your small business needs, and hopefully some homeownership needs. But we know we have a bit more work to do on that. But thank you all for coming. And let's thank SBA for hosting us, SBDC for hosting us too, Ms. Adams and Ms. Jones. They've hosted us for the 2 nights, and we really appreciate it.
A Trecision production.